Hello guys! This is again Drago42 to go with the SciCraft crew.
Heyo.
And today again with
Heyo.
Enemy's Friend and Ilmango. So, we got a new little shack that popped up here at our spawn perimeter. So, let's head inside and see what's happening there. Hey, so here we used again the same concept as for our nether elevator, because it's fairly simple and works pretty well for those cases. And what does it look like? Looks like a slaughterhouse. And that's pretty much what it is, because it's connected to our mushroom farm over here. And yeah, we had to replace some stuff because the mushroom farm didn't work anymore with the 1.8 design. So we decided to improve it a bit. And maybe we can demonstrate it. So essentially we're using translocators down there, we'll show them in a second, to collect the mushrooms. And now we have to see when they arrive, so we can set up the clock correctly. Because of course we have to adjust this to the 20-second timer. So now we basically have to see when some mushrooms are spawning, and now we can activate a clock, which triggers the system every 20 seconds. Yeah, then we can also turn off the fire, for example. And in principle you just need something to keep clicking here, and you could even get the looting effect. And mushrooms don't have consistent health entirely, so you need typically like 2 or 3 swipes. But then they are pretty much all gone. And you already heard the item distribution system below, which picks up the items and shoots them into a water stream. And here come the next ones.
Yeah, and then you can see them spawning. So we have a 400 game tick clock running, and it's basically adjusted by clicking this wood button here to the spawn cycle.
Yeah, so that's something which is not that easy to detect, and we just had to take, we sort of have to do manually, but once it's running, you could just keep standing there for a few hours and get a lot of mushroom drops. So, should we head down to the farm and see what we changed?
Alright.
So, I mean, most of the stuff here is just for decoration purposes and doesn't have any functionality because, well,
there's also nice use of netherwall blocks.
Oh yeah,
only use.
meat hanging from the roof. Finally use for those blocks. Alright, then let's head back up and back down right again at the edge. So yeah, we still have the old small entrance over there because we barely need to go there. But from top it looks pretty much the same, so the spawn floors are completely unchanged. Ouch. But down below, some things have changed. So what we have here is a NESM translocator. So using the open fence gates that just catch pretty much everything. And we can't really go inside, right? But
nope.
Maybe we can see it from here.
So no mushrooms can go out.
Yeah. So we have the hay bales here to reduce the fall damage, so they don't die too early. But sometimes they hit bedrock, and we just figured that it's not worth removing those few bedrock pieces to put hay bales there.
Because
it doesn't reduce the efficiency greatly.
Because it's in the spawn chunks.
Oh yeah, that's also a problem. So doing it with the piston head trick is maybe a bit too tedious. Wouldn't be worth it. And yeah. So essentially the system here gets triggered, as Mango said, every 400 game ticks or 20 seconds. They are all collected at the center. I think we can see it a bit better from on top, right? Where they're coming in.
No.
Not? I mean, we can at least see where
they
are
go to the middle.
Being collected. Oh, that way. That's right. Ah, there we just saw them zipping through. And yeah, so here is another translocator line which picks them up from both sides and sends them to the slaughterhouse. Did I forget anything? So at the moment it's set to auto-kill, just using the fire, which means we can continuously see the new spawns. But in principle, that's all about this farm. So I would suggest we go to another project, which is the actual reason why we are building this kind of thing, or why we needed to upgrade our mushroom farm. And yeah, it's just we see you over there and show you the next part. Alright, before we head over to the next station, we have one thing that we almost forgot to show, and that is a shulker in a minecart. Well, it's quite a few shulkers in there, and this little box is actually our peaceful mob switch. So if I simply press this button, they move by one block, but well, this row of glass blocks here has a special meaning because it's a chunk border. So here we are outside of the spawn chunks, or at least outside of the out of all the spawn chunks. Yeah, including the passive chunks.
Chunks are also spawn chunks.
Yeah, obviously. I just got confused because I thought it was too close to the iron farm, but no. Yeah, so here they would be unloaded, while here they would always be loaded whenever someone's in the overworld. And therefore they would block up the mob cap. So Mango made a little episode on collecting those, or even two I think. So go check those out. And yeah, so in total we have here about 100 shulkers. All stacked.
107.
Gosh. Yeah, it took quite some time to collect them from the end cities and bring them here. Which is a little annoying, but yeah, finally they're here.
Yeah, totally worth it. I mean, you build a farm today and nobody has to sleep, nobody has to log out, and no mobs that could annoy you. Totally worth it.
That's definitely a nice thing. So the reason why we use shulkers here is that they block the mob cap, but they can't despawn. So if you normally want a mob to not be able to despawn, you would have to rename it or give it an item, but that would also remove it from the mob cap. So you have to use mobs that naturally can't despawn.
I think you have 4 options. You have shulkers, Elder Guardians, Withers, and I think dragons maybe, but not sure.
You can't transport dragons through the dimension.
Yeah.
And Elder Guardians are not really easy either.
Wouldn't a certain state of the skeleton horses work? Like skeleton riders?
I don't know.
Quite sure. Okay. Anyway, so fairly simple passive mob switch. Peaceful mob switch. Once we got it set up, but it was quite a pain to get them over here. And yeah, but now that it's done.
Yeah, it also uses the spawn chunks because they're really 100% loaded 100% of the time. So if you would do it in some remote location with hopper loading, then sometimes the hopper don't load the chunks fast enough. Then you have some game ticks where mobs could spawn. That's why we have it in the spawn chunks.
Yeah. So that's just a thing we have to take, but therefore it's perfectly reliable and we're not getting annoyed by mobs.
And we're also planning this for a different dimension, but it will be a little bit different system and also requires more effort. But yeah, we showed it in last time.
Yeah, we will show that a bit later once it's done. But let's head over to the next station. Alright, we're in the Nether Hub and about to head to the next destination of our tour. So you might already get an idea by the design, but I think once we're there it's even more impressive, so just head over. It's not a long ride. Just a small piston bolt combined with a small translocator in the end. even more books. But that has a reason. So let's go through the portal. And here we go. That's a small farm. Well, it doesn't even render completely yet. Yeah, so this is our sugar cube. Because it's, well, as the name suggests, a sugarcane farm. And this actually, I mean, the idea for this farm goes back to when we had the public server out for a few weeks. Because there was one user, I think his name was From Mars.
No,
if you're
actually
watching
two
that,
users. One of them was called From Moon, the other was called From Mars.
okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. I just remembered the one name. So he had this idea of basically shifting pistons back and forth through with a bunch of slime blocks. Maybe we can see it here. Yeah, so you see there's a piston behind this melon block and one over here, and so they get triggered in an alternating manner. So first one piston gets triggered, pushes the slime blocks to go with the other piston to the other side, retracts everything, and then the second piston gets triggered, and yeah, so they shoot off the sugarcane on two sides of the slime blocks, which makes it actually fairly efficient because there's hardly any redstone involved. And I don't know if that was already shown on the public server, but we basically chained that together. So, not sure where we can. Let me just grief in here. Oh, it's already running. Nice. So you can see the redstone block back here, and basically this one gets shifted over together with the slime blocks, and then triggers the next set of piston and slime block parts. So we have basically multiple steps in one row. And the nice thing about this is that this also propagates the signal. So what we have at the side here is fairly simple redstone, once you get used to building it. So all that does, maybe you can see it from up here. So once this row here gets shifted, the redstone block powers these pieces of redstone dust. Then we just have a pulse extender because, well, pistons take time to extend but retract instantly, or at least remove the power instantly. So we have to extend the signal each time it travels around. And yeah, then it's just a few repeaters to cause some delay, so we trigger one piston after the other. So in this case, we'd first trigger the piston here on the right hand side and then the one on the left hand side. And yeah, that propagates the signal to the other side where we have, again, the same concept, which transfers the signal to the next lane and so on until it reaches the end, where we have a slightly different setup that just propagates the signal to the next layer. So in total, we adjusted the clock that we have two signals running in the farm at the same time. So basically when one signal is about halfway through, the second one gets launched back here. And yeah, that way we have fairly low amounts of piston movement. And, well, we don't see any impact on the performance.
Not at all.
So it's extremely lag friendly, but still huge. And the reason why we can spread it out that much, there we can see it dropping, is that sugarcane just grows extremely slowly. So what's the time?
It takes on average like 16 or 17 minutes for a stage. So a signal every 10 minutes is more than enough.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable time. So in total, it takes about 20 minutes to run once through the farm, which also means once we turn off the farm, we have to wait for a few minutes so nothing glitches out. And that's pretty much the only issue. But now that we get a lot of sugarcane, maybe we should head down to the storage. Because what you actually get from here...
Maybe about the size again, it's a cube as you mentioned, and it's a 100 by 100 by 100 cube.
Yeah, I think it's slightly bigger in some dimensions, but give or take 2 or 3 blocks, it's about 100 blocks cubed. And here we can already see the sugarcane coming in. Let me just demonstrate the rates. So this is pretty insane. What's coming in here? So yeah, in total, when this farm runs indefinitely, it produces almost 200,000 sugarcane per hour. So it's not really a waste if I just drop them. And yeah, basically all these chests around here are for storage of sugarcane, except for the ones at the back here. I think the storage is by now completely filled, right?
Yep. Yeah, enemy AFK'd for an evening.
So, how long does it take approximately to fill up all these chests?
3 hours.
That sounds like a reasonable time. I mean, it took way longer to build the farm, obviously. We built that one quite a time on live streams and all sorts of other occasions, but yeah, it takes pretty long. So, once we have the sugarcane, what do we do with it? Well, first we need the mushroom farm, so that's where that one comes into play, and we need a ton of leather. So at the moment the leather storage is pretty much empty because, well, we just crafted another ton of books. So obviously
and the mushroom farm was broken, so
yeah.
Just finished it the other day.
Yeah, that was basically the reason why we had to fix it, so we get some new leather. Then we turn it into books. Well, obviously we get paper from the sugarcane. Then we turn it into books with the leather. And then we also have to bring over some wood. I think we also used quite a lot of that by now.
Yeah, I think it was almost full.
Here's a full chest. But then we turn it all into bookshelves, which takes quite some time. I mean, it's a really tedious crafting recipe with all these steps. But how far did we get?
Almost
Not until here. So almost half the storage is filled. Those chests are completely filled, and well, that's pretty much where we are. So almost 10 double chests, which I think is quite a lot. Because yeah, it really takes a lot of time to craft all of that. But
at some point we were crafting with 3 people.
Yeah, basically running around crafting stuff, and it's pretty insane how long it takes. But yeah, I think that's all about the storage room. Is there anything else I forgot?
Not really. So we have we can activate it with this button here, the stone button. It would activate once, and we can also turn on the clock with this wood button. Maybe that's.
Yeah. For that kind of system, Mango has a tutorial on his channel, I think, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna see how this works.
The tutorial is actually a lot better system than I built here. So here just have a working system, but it's a lot bigger.
Yeah, but that shows the same concept. So
yeah.
Basically you have 2 inputs on the same block, but just due to their different signal length, you can distinguish them. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's to say about this farm. Tons of books from our sugar mountain here. Or should we say Zucker-Berg? Okay, that one's bad. Anyways,
they're always bad.
It's a tradition. Okay, so see you guys next time. We're out. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.